Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you're well. From wherever you're watching this channel, I'd like us to dive into this story of ODIOUS debt. There's a statement that Jimmy Wanjigi released, a statement that confirmed what the former chairman of the budget committee, and I'm talking about Ndindi Nyoro, what he said publicly about China.
Visits to China currently or other bilaterals, I can assure you, will be about debt primarily, because we are almost at a cliff in terms of debt repayment and especially interest rate.
Now, we are all aware that William Samoei Ruto is going to go to China on the 22nd of April 2025 and is going to jet back on the 26th April 2025. Despite the fact that the government has said that this is going to be a meeting aimed at improving the relationship between Kenya and China, Wanjigi seems to be having a different opinion. And according to Wanjigi, he said that the government is collapsing and lacks money to fund different projects, and that is the main reason why the president is going to China. And then we were told about something different from Ndindi Nyoro. So in this analysis, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to weigh in on this debate that is growing by the day. This debate has taken center stage, and there are so many comments which Jimmy Wanjigi has issued, and the same comments were issued by Ndindi Nyoro. Do you believe that William Ruto is going to China simply to improve the relations between Kenya and China, or he is going to China to renegotiate the loans which are currently being serviced? Why do you think William Ruto is going to go to China? So before we get further on this story, ladies and gentlemen, kindly like this video, subscribe to this channel, and to our existing subscribers, I want to continue thanking you so much, because without you, this channel won't have grown. One time, Jimmy Wanjigi surfaced with a story of ODIOUS debt.
In the last 10 years, the years that we had done the audit under the Uhuru regime, all right, the budget only approved 2 trillion for loans, but they borrowed 6.4 trillion, which means over 4 trillion above what was approved. This current government, in the last 1 year, the borrowings that are on the budget are 351 billion shillings, foreign and external loans. William Samoei Ruto has gone to borrow 1.8. All right?
And Wanjigi told us that according to his math, according to his tabulation of the debt owed and the debt repaid, Kenya haidaiwi.
Yeah? Kenya owes nobody any money. That is how clear I am.
I mean, and that meant that the money which is being paid out ni pesa inalipwa tu kwa mifuko ya watu, lakini Kenya haidaiwi. That was a claim that Wanjigi made. Now, you know what followed? There were numerous arrests on Wanjigi. Now, you know the story surrounding that arrest. When Wanjigi ultimately presented himself at the DCI to record statement, he was apprehended na akawekwa behind bars. So the rest of the story, I think you are aware about. So in this analysis, ladies and gentlemen, our focus is on what Jimmy Wanjigi said. So based on Wanjigi's points, Wanjigi is saying that President William Ruto is going to China about the repayment of the underlying loans and ask for additional financing for his government. And when he said that Kasongo and Treasury are desperately trying to negotiate with creditors for debt restructuring and concessional financing, this is part of Kasongo going to China. When he made that statement, he was basically trying to tell the nation that serikali inaenda kuchukua loan chini ya maji. Haitaki Wakenya wajue kwamba wanaenda kuchukua loan, but the idea ni kwamba wanaenda kuchukua loan. When Ndindi Nyoro surfaced with almost similar claims about the trip of William Samoei Ruto, Ndindi told us that it is true that the government is going to China for debt restructuring. That is what Ndindi Nyoro told us. And then he went ahead to say that according to his math, Kenya cannot sustain the loans ambazo ziko tayari, zile ziko. Wacha zile mpya ambazo zinachukuliwa, zile ziko saizi. If you go to Wanjigi's statement, it tells us that the government takes loan karibu kila saa. Every month they take a loan. That is a statement from Wanjigi. So we can't ascertain whether this statement is a political statement or it's indeed what is actually happening, because now these days leaders huwa wanatushangaza sisi kama wananchi. Sometimes wanaambiwa kitu ambao iko kumbe haiko, sometimes wanaambiwa kitu ambao haiko kumbe ndio hiko. So it's not easy to tell who is telling a lie, but going by statistics, ni kama Kenya tunadaiwa sana. If it's true that the president is going to look for more loans from the Chinese, na wakati wa kufanya campaign, this Kenya Kwanza government talked about is kustop mambo ya kuchukua loan ovyo ovyo. I remember when Musalia Mudavadi gave a press statement in Mombasa. By that time there was talk about Dubai Port acquiring KPA so that they would manage it. There was those kind of discussions which were going on, and the Kenya Kwanza team surfaced with its own strategy and said hii mambo ya kuuza parastatals, kuuza tu vitu ovyo ovyo kama vile kuuza KPA, kuuza sijui nini, that will be a thing of the past. In their government, nothing of that sort will take place. And they also talked about loans, by the way, that mambo ya loan hawatachukua. I remember there's a time Uhuru and Raila went to China. Now, Raila was infrastructure head, Uhuru the president. So they met in China. Raila had gone there in his capacity as an infrastructure head, AU infrastructure head. So he had to be there, and they talked about so many things with the Chinese government. I remember Kenyans blasted the government, and especially the Kenya Kwanza people blasted the government because the government had gone to take more loans. They didn't want the government to take loans. So if what Jim Wanjigi is telling us is true, that the government is hell-bent in taking another loan from China, then we can say that serikali imekataa kutimiza yale masharti ambayo ilikuwa imeweka kwa wananchi, ikisema kwamba haitawahi kujihusisha na mambo ya mikopo ovyo ovyo. But he told us that the only time Kenya will be without loans in 2032 kwenda mbele. But then there's another argument that is coming on board, that the country will still take more loans. So if MBADI is talking about no more loans beyond from 2032 going onwards, then what about loans ambazo zitakuwa zinachukuliwa kutengeneza mambo for constructions and the like? Si bado Kenya watakuwa wanadaiwa tu. So that is why I agree partly with Jimmy Wanjigi when Jimmy Wanjigi says that Orengo I remember CS MBADI was confronted to talk about the issue of loan. Now he had to make a promise whether Kenya can sustain its loan. So then what CS MBADI said is that Kenya kuanzia 2032 kwenda mbele haitakuwa inadaiwa. Haitakuwa na loan ya kudaiwa na itakuwa ishalipa loan zote. 2032 kwenda mbele. Now someone else reacted to that statement, and it was none other than Jimmy Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi akasema kwamba MBADI haelewi kitu ambacho anasema, kwa sababu nchi bado itachukua loan ikifanya mambo mengine. So akisema kwamba 2032 kwenda mbele itakuwa kuna loan, na hata tunaona hata US wanachukua loan, hapo atakuwa anatudanganya, kwa sababu bado Kenya watakuwa wanachukua loan wakidaiwa. The problem sio kuchukua loan. The problem is what happened after hii loan imechukuliwa. Je, inatumika vilivyo ama ni ile fursa ya wale walaji kula hizi pesa za serikali ili Wakenya waumie na ushuru kuzilipa tena? So I think the problem hapa ni kwamba there are people who take loans under the disguise that wanataka kutengeneza for development projects, and then they end up misusing these loans on other projects which are maybe not prioritized. Alafu Wakenya wanakuwa subjected kulipa hizi loans through kuongeza maushuru hivi na hivi na hivi. So unajipata kama unalipa ushuru mwingi ili ulipe ile loan ya yule mtu ambaye alikuwa amechukua. Na hiyo loan maybe hakusaidia mwananchi yote, haikusaidia projects ambazo zingesaidia mwananchi. So that is why I tend to agree with Wanjigi, Jimmy Wanjigi partly. you know. So, ladies and gentlemen, just go below in the comment section and tell us what you think about the statement from Wanjigi. Do you agree with Wanjigi? Just tell us below on the comment section. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Until you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.